Thank you for joining on my podcast, Courtside Conversations. I'm so happy to have you here. For you guys that don't know Miles, he was an ex-professional tennis player, and he transferred into the world of modeling, which is a very tough industry, but he is crushing it.
Well, I don't know about that, but thank you for the introduction. But yeah, no, pleasure to be here. And it's my first time doing anything like this, so let's see what we can do.
You're gonna crush it. So, for everyone who doesn't know you or wants to get to know you, tell us a bit about your tennis story to begin with. When did you start? Take us back to the beginning.
Okay, so it's a long time ago now, but I started when I was about 7 or 8, which in tennis terms is actually pretty late. I feel like, you know, over the years when I've coached kids and stuff, they start now at like 3 years old, which I find mad. Anyhow, I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I'd go to my local club, which was West Worthing in Sussex, and I play every Saturday at one of the club clinics there, and I just really started loving it. My parents couldn't get me away from the club. I literally lived there, and I played like tennis. I'd be playing pool and table tennis, squash, and yeah, that was pretty much the start of what was to be. Where I then ended up going to boarding schools because I was good at most sports, and then I just
You're just good at everything.
No. I loved my sport. That was me. And then like at 16, I just decided tennis was what I wanted to do. And went to a big sports school called Milford, which was an incredible experience. Actually, that's where I was able to kind of have the first glimpse of what it really took to kind of have some sort of schedule playing tennis. And again, 16 was, you know, it's pretty late to do that. So I was thankful.
I mean, I remember Milford being a big school like a couple years ago.
It's a great school, obviously a private school, so you know, I went to just my normal state school as up until 11, but then my sport was the thing that really gave me the chance to go and have like this amazing education, and then I wanted to further that by going to university, which obviously you've also done and gone out to the States, which is an amazing platform.
And which college did you go to in the States?
So I went to the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. Again, a lot of people are like, Miles, that's the most random place.
Well, I'm in Alabama, so
but it's like, how did you end up there? One of my best friends from Sussex, actually, who I grew up playing with, he went to New Mexico the year before me. And so, as you probably know, seeing college tennis, once you have like one foreigner or one person from a certain state, they end up like kind of collecting their friends, because they're always looking to recruit. And so myself and another Brit, Johnny Parks, who is now college coach at where is he at? He's at the Gamecocks, South Carolina. So he came out to New Mexico with me, and we had amazing time there.
That's great. I mean, I always recommend when people say, "Oh, do you think I should go pick a scholarship in American college?" I genuinely say, do it. It changed my life. Like, I was stuck a little bit when I was 17. I was like, oh, I don't really know which way I want to go with this. And for me, I needed a change. Like, I needed to get out of England for a while. I needed a new experience. I needed just to do things by myself, you know. And it really just taught me so much. It gets you to meet so many great people as well.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. I think also when I went, it wasn't necessarily a big thing to do. What was interesting is
you're my brother's era.
I'm even older brother.
Yeah, and he always says that he kind of regrets not going because for you guys that don't know, my brother's 27, and even though there's like a 6-year difference between me and him. Like that 6 years, it grew so much to go to the States. It wasn't a big thing when he was there.
Yeah, I mean, so when I went, I mean, you know, I don't want to badmouth the LTA, but when I went, honestly, it wasn't something that they wanted the players to do, because they wanted to keep them. So there was some moments where like some players went, and when they came back, they were like, didn't want anything to do with them. And it was kind of like that time when I arrived there. And after I graduated and came back and started playing some futures in the UK, I was having these conversations with Leon Smith, who's the British Davis Cup captain. And, you know, I was just, after that and having these chats, they became a lot more open to the idea of this journey for British tennis players, because it kind of, it teaches you so much, especially, you know, there's a lot of guys and girls out there at like 18. They're not ready to play professional sport. Not only that, you know, it gives them a little bit of an education behind them if, you know, things are to go wrong. You know, injuries happen. They're inevitable in professional sport. You put your body under a lot of stress. And that's pretty much what happened to me, which we'll get into. But, you know, it's... yeah, I think it's the best thing if you can. If you're obviously a Carlos Alcaraz and an absolute freak, then
you're just absolutely ridiculously talented.
You do you, mate, and continue and crush it in the pros. They're all good. But apart from that, there's not that many guys out there that are doing that. So I think it's a great stepping stone, even if you do a couple years.
100%.
I totally agree with you.
And what was your best moment in tennis,
would you say?
Well, it has to go back to college, honestly. I mean, tennis has offered me so many incredible opportunities in my life, but I think it really has to come down to my senior year, and we're playing TCU.
Okay.
And we'd lost to them in the final of the conference tournament the year before. And so we're ending up playing them again. It's an absolute showdown. So the year before, also, our assistant coach had been diagnosed with ALS, which is obviously horrendous illness. And so that, for all of us boys, we're like really fighting hard just to win every match for him. So when we lost in the final that year before, it crushed us. We're like, no, we can't do this again. So make the final the following year, and we were in Albuquerque, home territory, which was amazing. And it came down to my match, and I was playing this guy that I'd played my freshman year, and I lost to him 6-1, 6-love. My freshman year. It was a good day in the office.
Fine, you were a freshman.
Good day in the office. And so I'm now playing in my senior year. So these guys were like, this is guaranteed. The matchup's not good for Miles. They think it's this like lefty serve volleyer coming into my single-handed backhand. They thought he's Well, I kind of improved a lot over those 3-4 years.
I would hope so.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, more so than probably most, is because, like I said, I started so late. So
That's true.
I picked up a lot over my college career. And so I ended up getting 6-all in the third set. And I just remember saying to myself, right, Miles,
it's now or never.
You've got to win this for Lauren. You've got to win this for the boys. And, you know, you had like 4 years of best time of your life with your best mates.
Aww.
You've got to do this. And I literally blacked out, went God mode for like, I won 7 months. I hit 6 winners.
Oh my gosh.
I can't really
I tell you what, that feeling of clinching for your team. Last match on, your whole team is watching you. Every single point, they're like on their feet, screaming. Like I remember the first clinch match I had, I was like absolutely pissed out. Like I didn't know what was going on. I was so nervous, but like the adrenaline's so high because everyone's screaming, and I was like, what is going on? We're going to like the Wimbledon final.
100%. I mean, I think nothing also beats it because it's a team.
No,
You know, in
exactly.
tennis, we're so used to being on our own.
Mhm.
It's such an individual sport. So when you have those sort of experiences with, like I said, your best mates that you've spent so much time together, fighting for together, it just makes it extra special. So, you know, I've again had amazing experiences playing with some of the world's best players, and then, you know, picking up my first world ranking point, and then, you know, doing well in a few tournaments here and there. But that is, you know, for me, just the most significant part, I would say, just having that experience with those boys. It's amazing.
I can relate to that, and I think that tennis is such a lonely sport, and people do not realize, like, playing 15, 25Ks, like traveling, like days on end by yourself and having to deal with tough losses. Like, people see glamour in tennis, I think.
Oh, for
And
sure.
because we travel so much, people see that's glamorous, but it's the like most opposite thing you could ever imagine.
Well, I think they see the one side of it. I mean, even at the top of the game,
It's brutal.
It's tough. I mean, yes, it's a lot nicer. You're looked after like rock stars, but it's still very lonely, and there's still a lot of stuff which you don't necessarily see behind the scenes. I mean, Netflix tried to show it a bit, but I don't know how I felt about that documentary. I'd like to have seen a bit more, you know.
I would like to see a bit more of like the grit stuff, you know, like
exactly.
the true like day-to-day how it is.
But because it's so difficult, I guess, for them to necessarily get in, because it's such an intense sport. A lot of these guys, they don't want a camera in their face, you know, whilst they're trying to get ready for these matches. But yeah, it's very different, especially at the lower levels. Zero money in it. You're constantly, you know, trying to find ways to save money. It's a hustle, and then just trying to find your way all the way through. It's very difficult.
And what was the point in your life when you decided to move on from tennis, and what were those emotions when you hung your rackets up?
I mean, okay. So I started playing professionally when I finished college in 2010, and I moved back to the UK, and I was playing at Bath to start with, at the academy there, and but I was always hustling, trying to find money to be able to pay for my tournaments. That summer before, actually, I went and coached in the Hamptons and earned some decent money, where I was able to fund it for like literally 2 months.
I'm sure you earned some good money if you were coaching at country club in Hampton.
Yeah, but it doesn't go far.
It doesn't go far, you're
That's
right.
the crazy thing is, like, it just didn't go far, and like I was done. I was like, right, okay, back to the drawing board. Constantly hustling, and then I moved to London, and was coaching some tennis at Chelsea Harbour, and I met this guy there who became like one of my probably one of my best friends now. He's an older guy than me, but he loved his tennis and really believed in me, and gave me the opportunity, and was like, look, I want to help you. So again, I was in a position which not many people had the fortunate luck to do, you know, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. As this happened, I had problems with my knees. And this was when I moved up to Gosling, and that's when I met you and your brother. And so I'd moved up to Gosling, and I wasn't
How
able
old was I
at that point? Gosh, I don't know, probably like 12 or 13.
Because I think I first went to Gosling when I was 12.
Yeah. And so I was, I couldn't train, or I couldn't play any matches for like a year. I was out. And so I had amazing team there, and they were really helping me with Fab, who honestly was my savior when it came to my fitness. And he made me into a physical beast. Like, I was in best shape of my life when I came back. But after all that time away, I didn't really deal with, you know, that, how can I say, the mental side of it very well, because I was I'd lost my identity during that time. I'd always seen myself as, you know, being a very active person, good athlete. As far as my strengths in tennis, it was always my fitness side. That was, for me, was what I was like, okay, that's where I beat people, is my physical attributes. And when that was taken away from me, I didn't really know how to deal with it. But again, I only figured that out later on. I didn't figure it out then. So when I came back and I started playing, I played in Israel, and I played not very well first 2 weeks, not surprised. Third week, played amazing. And I was like, right, we're good. And then I pulled my hamstring the week after and put me in this other whole dip. Recovered, went and played some more tournaments, found myself in a 3-set battle, and I just wasn't enjoying it. And I was like, what am I doing in this third set? And that was the moment. But it took a lot of all these hits and stuff to get to that moment.
Yeah.
And I got to this moment and I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I think the moment is in anything, not just in tennis or sport, but the moment where it kind of hits you, where like, you're doing so much work, and you're putting yourself through so much mental pressure and physical pressure. The moment that you are not loving it, it gets tough. And
I think for me, I was in this position for, you know, a while, year really. It was a long time, because I was just obviously, like I said, taking away my identity, my physicality was gone. I was then had all this pressure because I'd finally had this amazing opportunity with this sponsorship, and I was like, I can't let anyone down. I've also got now no excuse not to, you know, do what I know I can do. And I just. It was a huge amount of pressure I put on myself, and I just it was a tough moment. And then I went off to America to see one of my friends whose birthday, and that's kind of how I then ended up making a transition from tennis to modeling. But it was a tough moment, because I was like, I knew I hadn't reached the heights that I wanted to, and I knew I was going to let people down, but mentally I just was not happy.
I completely relate to that, to be honest. Like, when I was 17, I had the same issue. I was putting so much pressure on myself that I was being my own worst enemy. And I was going out and I couldn't even do what I wanted to do because I was so afraid of letting my sponsors down, letting people down that put hours and hours of work into me. And I was getting so on myself that I was getting depressed. And that's the moment that when I went to the US, it helped me so much because I relieved that pressure I was putting on myself, and I was just allowing myself to enjoy tennis again, and enjoy the sport that I started playing when I was so young. You know? So I completely relate to that.
And ultimately, that is all that matters. Which it's only a game, but again, when you're in it and you're in this, you get in a hole and you put all this pressure and stuff that actually really doesn't matter.
No.
But again,
big picture.
It's really difficult when you're in it. So that's where I was.
Yeah. And when you left, what do you think is the biggest lesson that tennis taught you?
Again, tennis teaches you a lot. I would say that it taught me really to be very present. I guess my favourite thing to say is, if there's no now, there's no future. Because I really believe that. Again, when I was playing, if you start focusing on the points that you lost, then you can't take care of the next one, and it's kind of the same in life. And with tennis, there's so many ups and downs. Life has so many ups and downs, and tennis. So that being said, I think tennis teaches you how to deal with it.
100%.
As tennis players, we lose a lot. So that's another thing.
We learn how to take those rejections.
Yeah, there's only one player in a draw that will win every match a week. You know, so everyone's going to lose apart from one person.
Yeah.
So if that's another thing. So you have to deal with that and be able to bounce back, and I think it makes you tough and strong. And I think, all of that being said, it leads you into good stead for just general life and work in the future.
I agree. I think that the way any sport shapes your personality to have grit and keep going even when you get told no is something that nothing else can teach you. And I think that's also why, especially in the modeling industry, it's important to have, because you get turned down so much, you get criticized for your body and your looks or whatever it is. And if you're not strong mentally and don't have confidence, it can really crush you.
100%. I mean, I think that side of it as a model, it's a brutal industry as well, and that's what tennis has taught me. You know, it's the amount of losses that I would take. I'd see it as like rejection from a job. I've got pretty thick skin now, and you just can't look into it. You can be put on all these options, and it's like, oh man, you're holding for this job. And then
they give you a little bit of hope. There's this like little bit of teasing with it, and it's like,
I was like potentially going to like Costa Rica a couple of weeks ago for a job, and I was like, oh yeah, let's go. And then I was like, I'm definitely going to get this job. I feel like there's not many other people that this job can fit. It's like an outdoorsy guy, loves his activities. That's me, you know. And didn't get it. I was like, and then there's the other jobs where I don't want to do it, and it'll be like I'm not right for the job, and then I get it. So it's just
it's so weird how it works. But the options kills me. Like you're like, yeah, your options for this, your options for that. Yes, let's go. I got my hopes up for nothing. So talk us through that. How did you transition from tennis to modeling? Like, talk us through those emotions, how it happened.
Okay, so I like I mentioned briefly earlier on. So when I first had that moment where I was like, I'm not enjoying this. I'm not enjoying the fight. I went off to America. Went to LA to see one of my friends who he was an actor, or is an actor, and his girlfriend at the time was a model. And I was explaining how I was feeling. And he was just like, why don't you look at getting into our industry? I was just like, I don't know about that,
Yeah. So you never like had it in your mind?
No, it was never, the only time it kind of popped up was because I was sponsored by Head. They made me do a couple of shoots for them. And on those shoots, they're like, you should, have you thought about doing this? And I was like, no, but doesn't seem too bad. I was like, nah, I was just, I was very focused and dedicated to my tennis. And that's the thing. I think I get very tunnel vision, which can be good, but also it can annoy some people because I won't acknowledge them. I'm just in. So I went there, and then my friend and his ex-girlfriend, they were like, look, you need to come and see the agency up in New York. I was just like, I've got to get back to some tournaments. And then they're like, no, it's fine. Come on, you're not happy. So I was like, all right. So I went up to New York, and which was next, and I went there, and they took my headshots, sent them back to London, and then when I got back to London, I went to see Next there, and they took, they sent me on a test shoot, did the test shoot, went off to Turkey actually to play some more tournaments.
Okay.
And
did you go to Italia?
Of course. I spent a few weeks there.
I spent a few weeks there too. It's tough.
I think every player has spent
every player has experienced Turkey and Italia.
Put some time in there. The baklava, it's good stuff. probably caused my knee injury. And then I ended up, I was there. And again, same thing. I was like, just didn't want to be there. And I was just like, this isn't, what am I doing? Get back to London. And then next we're like, okay, we want to rep you. And I was just like, okay. And I remember going into Gosling and having to sit down with the team. And I was just like, look.
Who did you sit down with?
Matt Wilcox.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And you had to tell them.
Yeah, and I had Johnny as well. So Johnny, like I said, so Johnny Parks was or is my best mate from school. So we grew up playing tennis together. We went to Millfield together. Then we went to New Mexico together. And then he came back to the UK and coached me for a little period. And then he's now back. He worked for the USDA and IMG, and now he's working at South Carolina. So Johnny's pretty well known and respected now in the tennis world. He's done amazing things. And we obviously we're like brothers, so it was amazing to have him through that period. I think also that definitely helped me, even though also gave me an added pressure because I didn't want to let him down, when he kind of was spending all that time with me. But I was like, I'm not happy. And they all understood it. And I think we're a bit gutted because they knew that. Especially, actually, I remember Fab saying to me, look, I know it's tough right now, but just try to find a way through this because it's if you can, I think there's something here. And there's part of me that wishes I had. But when I did stop, so we'll go back to the emotions. So when I did stop, I was like, it was a huge relief. I just had it was like,
you did the right thing, and there was a relief.
Well, at that moment, because I put all this pressure on me for so long, and I just was like, okay, I'm not letting, I have let people down, but I'm like, okay. And then I was excited for this new venture. Like I'd been in LA, and my friends had showed me this other lifestyle, which again just seemed very glitz and glam.
It is a different lifestyle.
It's a different lifestyle, but also from the outside, you look at it in and you're thinking, oh, this looks all right. But again, it's not what it is all to be believed. So I didn't obviously understand that. So then once I then started working as a model, like I was trying to get my bearings. I was a little older going into modeling, I was like 27, something like that when I got into it, which is again, like guys, we're lucky.
I was going to say, for guys, it's prime time.
Yeah, guys, it's pretty good, time, but even just to get into it, it's still doesn't happen that often. So I get into it, and I was lucky. I had a few good little jobs to start with, so that kind of got my confidence up. I had started getting some good photos for my book, and but what I wasn't prepared for was those quiet months. And so after all the stepping away from tennis and going into modeling, it was like all a bit of a whirlwind. I then started having quiet months, and I was just like, I went back into this really bad headspace. Again, and this is where I think I realised, my identity, and this is why I was having these problems emotionally, because I'd taken my identity away. My identity, my whole life was great athlete, good tennis player, and that had now gone, and I was struggling with that. Even when I'd be out meeting people in London, it's like, oh, what do you do? I'd never say what I did. I'd just be like, oh, tennis player, because that still felt like that was me. Plus, as a guy and a model, you can get judged pretty quickly straight away, especially.
Same for a girl.
So they're like, model. I'm not going to say the word on here, but yeah, cool.
I agree. Like people just judge straight away.
You know, I'm very. I never thought I'd be doing this. Very fortunate and privileged to be able to do what I'm doing, and I just want to be able to use that as like something to be able to explore and do the world, and then do my own adventures later on the side. That's what I like about this job. It allows me to explore other avenues, which is good.
100%. I think it definitely gives you freedom, but it is an interesting one. Like I feel like I've just started to start my journey in the modeling world, and you know, it is crazy what people think it is. Like I'm not saying I don't enjoy it. I do love it. Like I just went to LA and I was there for 24 hours. And I was shooting from 6:30 in the morning was my pool time until 7 p.m. and to fly back the next morning back to school. And it is like people think it's like, oh, like you're just going in front of a camera and smiling, but it's like it's not that simple and it's not easy at all. Like I think anything you put yourself out there, it's not an easy thing.
No, not at all. And it's like you said, people think it's very it's an easy job. I would definitely challenge them on that and be like, give it a go yourself. But let me tell you, it's also not the worst thing. You know, I'm not complaining. I'm not going to be like, this is such a hard job. But I mean, it can be quite challenging at times. You've got to be good with people. You've got to
I think that the personality is 50% of it. I think that
100%.
the way that you treat the photographer, the cast members, the catering people, every single person on set, the way that you treat them is whether you're going to get booked again. 100%.
I think. I mean, I've just done this again. Just no matter what I do in life, I just treat everyone like I want to be treated. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. I've always got time for you. That's how I see it. And I think that is, like you said, very important to bring that to set. But also just don't be yourself as well. I think a lot of people try and be something and they're not, and that also doesn't come across great. I also think that being pretty relaxed and chilled about things helps, because if you're like getting yourself all worked up over things, it can be tough because again, you have no control over these things. You can be proactive in certain areas, but for the most part, you have to really be pretty open and flexible. Because if you're not flexible,
I agree.
Then
there's so much that goes into a campaign or a shoot. Like I've learned that lately, and I've seen how much people put into it, and I think just having gratitude at the end of it doesn't cost anything. You know, it really doesn't, and it makes a world of a difference.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky to be doing that, and that. So actually thinking about that. The first thing I actually noticed when I stopped tennis and went into modeling, I was like, so you're telling me I'm going to go to this shoot, they're going to pay me, they're going to pay for my travel, they provide breakfast, lunch, and I'm making money? I'm like, what?
Why not?
And what's going on? You know, whereas with tennis, you're paying for everything. You know, and even if you win the tournament, it's not really covering your expenses. So you're always out of pocket. Unless obviously when you're at the top with the big boys, then you're okay. But like on the grind, on the way up, it's ridiculous. So for me, that was the biggest, I think, shock as well. I'm trying to get used to that.
Mine was the same. I had the same feeling. And not only that, you have lived in. I feel like you're always in a different place. Like every time I speak to you, like I'm living again in Australia, I'm living in LA. What is going on? And tell us, what's the best place that you've lived in? And do you think it's important to have experience to live in different places?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think being able to experience different cultures and countries is amazing. If you can have that, then I highly recommend doing it. Again, lucky to have been able to do it with tennis. It's been able to take me kind of all over the world. However, again, same as modeling at times, is you don't always get to see the place. You're literally in the hotel, tennis court, or the studio, and then you're back. Like you literally just said, you went to LA, you're in and out. And this can happen. But what I have been lucky with the modeling has been like I've been put on like stays in certain places. So I went, I think once there I went to Japan, which was incredible. I was in Tokyo for 2 months.
I want to go to Japan badly.
And that was an incredible experience, like culturally, and just being in a country like that for 2 months was amazing. Have you seen Lost in Translation?
What?
Have you seen the movie Lost in Translation?
No, I haven't.
Okay, give it a watch, because it's literally that's how it felt like. It was a wild like experience. Anyhow, then I've lived in LA, New York, obviously London, and most recently Sydney. And to me, Sydney is my favorite place I've ever lived. I think it kind of offers everything, for me, I'm an outdoor kind of guy, I'm active. You've got the beaches, you've got the harbour, you've got the city, you've got amazing national parks where you can hike. During the winter, you can go skiing about 5-6 hours away. You can go to the wineries that are like a couple hours inland. It's an adult playground, that place.
Yeah. My sister went to Australia and Sydney, and she said it was amazing. I haven't managed to go there, but it is definitely on the top of my list.
Yeah, and I think as a sporty person yourself, you'd love it. I mean, there's tennis courts everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they play on AstroTurf, which is not
but it's like the worst version of grass.
Yeah, it's horrible. But it gets so hot there, they don't want to have the hard courts because a lot of them are cracked. So that's why so they have a lot of these Astro courts. Just it's better, and then when it rains, it really does rain there. So the Astro kind of is the best surface for the extreme weather.
Could you ever see yourself moving back to London? I can't. I really can't.
You know what? Before I went to Australia, I was like, London is my place. I love London, but honestly, after those 3 years in Sydney, I'm like, man, that's it. I love it so much. I've got to find a way now to stay out there.
I think that's how I felt about Miami. Like when I spent a lot of time there, I just the weather, being outdoors all the time, like it just makes you so happy. I went back to London after I spent some time in Miami with my family for like 2 weeks. Like instantly it was like I'm moving back. Like it was just so cold and depressing, and it's a different lifestyle.
No, I agree. I got back there Christmas time last year, and I was like, doesn't feel like home, whereas I had to, a couple months ago, I had to go back to Sydney for a job, and I got there and I was like, this is home. Which was, again, a weird realization for me, of being like, wow, okay. And then I wasn't supposed to go back to Sydney. I don't know, I had no plans on going back, but I've just booked a campaign, so I have to go back there in like a couple of weeks' time.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
It's
going to be good. So I'm going to be there for their summer. It's the best time of year to be there. I don't think my mother's too pleased, because I'm going to be missing Christmas, and I'm never back home.
Oh no, mother!
Sorry, Mum, if you're watching. But it's a tough one. But I think my family are now so used to me being away. I left home when I was 11, which is pretty young. So
I think you definitely your family you get used to the dynamic, but unfortunately you only see your family once or twice a year.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So for anyone that is watching, what advice would you give them if they are wanting to get into modeling or switching careers? Like, what advice would you give from your experience?
I think the best advice I'd say is to try and do something that you love, if you can. I mean, you've spent your life playing sport or tennis, whatever it may be, and that's because you love it. And I think if you can find something that you love and you're good at, it won't feel like a day of work. So that's obviously step one. I mean, not everyone's always has that luxury to do that. Again, I had no idea. I fell into this. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. It was just something I was very lucky. And I have no idea how I'm still doing it. Just makes me. I still pinch myself. And like, what are you doing? Come on. I get. Yeah. Anyway, but weirdly, this has been my best year yet. And I've been doing this now 8 years.
Wow.
So yeah, almost 9. Wow. So it's taken me this time, but again, we've spoken about it. It's also getting like your management right. So if you're wanting to say get into modeling, you need to make sure that you have a good relationship with the agent. When you first start, it can be good to be signed to a big agency because they can get your foot in the door in many ways. They can help you build your portfolio well. They're then also well respected, so then can place you in good places. Like I got that contract in Japan. My agent was Next at the time, and because they're a well respected agency, I was able to get a good deal there. But now I feel like I'm established enough. Now I can maybe step away from a Next, which I have done this year, and I'm working with a couple smaller agencies, and I've got a better relationship with them. I'm almost like a bigger fish in a small pond, and therefore I'm working a lot more. So it's a bit of a process, and so that's how I'd see it. But also, it's not a bad thing if you get into a smaller agency first as well. But that's what I'd recommend on that side.
I completely agree with you. I think having a good team around you is the most important, not in anything in life. Same with tennis, same modeling. Like it can destroy you if you have the wrong people around you.
I mean, I know people that have gone to agencies because of the name. And they were doing very well at the smaller agency, but then because they were doing so well, some of the bigger agencies were like, "Oh, we want to take you on." They go there, and then they don't do as well. They sit there. So it's a tough one. It's a difficult thing, but if you can get that good relationship, like you said, with your booker, and I would just always stay with them and just try and keep that as long as you're well working. That is the most important thing. Relationships, I think, are very important.
Yeah, because I think I've also seen some people, even in my agency, doing very well, and then they kind of get drifted by a big fish name. And think, oh my God, this is so amazing, and they don't even think twice about it. Jump over, and they're in this contract they can't get out of, and they're not getting any work. I think that it's so important to stick with the people that you have good relationships with, and don't jump ship as soon as you just get one good opportunity.
Oh yeah, I mean that just goes to it also being loyal. I think that's something that and that's why I stayed with Next for so long, because I was so loyal. Even though I knew I wasn't quite gelling there, wasn't really maximizing what I should be doing. But it wasn't until I went to Australia where I kind of, I guess, understood my value, because it really knocked me as well. I was like, nah, maybe I should pack this in. This is maybe not right. And then a few people in Sydney really, photographer Pat Subsiri, who really helped me and gain confidence, and introduced me to Ryan Hall, who has agency 520, and that was honestly for me that was my pivotal moment in my career for sure. For this year or this past 2 years. So it's been an interesting journey, that's for sure.
So to end the podcast, I always do a question that we will both answer.
Okay.
What is one thing that you must have in your life that is non-negotiable?
Non-negotiable. It has to be just being able to go to the gym. I can't. It's a non-negotiable. That is it.
I love that.
Honestly, I can't do it. Like we were saying, mental health.
Yeah.
And that's how I got out of my hole. I was like, really, I didn't realize how depressed I was. And I was like, I need to get back in the gym and train myself like I'm an athlete. And that was my non-negotiable. I have to have that in my life, because if I don't, it's not good. Yeah. What about you?
I think so. This might sound like a weird one, but my one is I have to have my headphones to have my own personal space. That sounds strange, but like I need to put my headphones.
Do you have any sponsorships? Are you sponsored by Dre Beats or something?
You know what?
You could give them a plug.
I know. I should give them an Instagram.
That's it.
Right now. You just put something in my mind. But I have to put my headphones in sometimes. Whenever I get overwhelmed, whenever I'm stressed out, whenever sometimes my social battery runs out, and I just need my headphones in with my music and have my own peace of mind for 10 minutes. It changes my mood straight away.
Well, I think music can do that for sure.
Yes.
That's also another thing. Yeah, music and gym, I'm good.
That's music and gym is all we need in our lives.
That's it. Honestly, that's when I'm not like working. You'll find me there.
Trust me, I feel you on that one. Running is like my way to release my anxiety.
But that's they're pretty good. Those things I think will set you free.
I think we gave good advice. Music, headphones, and gym.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I hope that everyone enjoyed us speaking about our lives. Bye, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Okay.